Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Life with Zach. Today we're continuing our series talking about my recent trip to Glacier National Park and all the great stuff that we saw there. Hope you enjoy, and if you do, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel to catch the newest videos about Glacier and our trip to Montana and other places coming out soon. Today's adventure into Glacier takes us from McDonald's Falls on Avalanche Creek through to Logans Pass. One of the first things you're going to see traveling on the Going to the Sun Road towards Logans Pass from Avalanche Creek is the West Tunnel. Now, the West Tunnel is, in my opinion, one of the really underrated and undernoticed places you can stop at on this part of the Going to the Sun Road. To be honest, I had seen that there was a tunnel, but I didn't see a whole lot about it until I went there and was able to kind of experience it myself. So really, even though there's not a lot of stuff out there talking about the West Tunnel, especially what you can see from it, I think you'll definitely find it's a great place to stop. If you're approaching the West Tunnel from the west side, like we did, there's two parking areas before you get to the tunnel, and then there's one and then a very small parking pull-off on the other side. You can stop at all of these, but I definitely recommend being as close as possible because really this is a little bit of a dangerous area to be walking along the Going to the Sun Road because the shoulder's a little bit small and also because a lot of people don't stop here. So just keep an eye out when you do that. And basically park here, and you're going to see a lot of great things even from the pull-off where you can get your car pulled off and just take a look there. But the real hidden treasure is inside the West Tunnel itself. All right, so the West Tunnel has two observation areas inside of them. One on, I'll say, is the western part of the tunnel, and one is the eastern part of the tunnel. Now, this tunnel was actually constructed between 1926 and 1927, and the western observation point is the smaller one, and the eastern one is the larger one, and I think one of the more iconic spots to look out over parts of the park. Here you're going to see Heaven's Peak in the upper McDonald Creek Valley, all right? And some of the things that consists of are McPartland Mountain, Mount Vault, and Stanton Mountain. Basically, in front of you is going to be a giant cliff filled with these mountain peaks. Some will have glaciers on them, even though they were very small when we were there. And below it is going to be this beautiful valley filled with McDonald's Creek, trees, beautiful flowers. It just really is an overwhelming and awe-inspiring overlook that's going to give you a great view of this valley and this part of Glacier National Park. And one of the reasons I thought it was so cool is it actually juts out from the tunnel. So there's like a 180 kind of like overlook with a stone wall there. So what you'll do is you'll actually walk from your parking area into the tunnel, and then on the side facing the valley, you can actually walk out onto these, and it's a little, it's not like right up against the tunnel wall, but you actually walk out onto this one overlook and see amazing things. So, and when we were there, to be honest, there was no one in the overlooks inside the tunnels because there's not really signs or anything pointing to them. Several people did stop in their cars and like these pull-offs and look out over the McDonald Valley, but I think like one other person walked into the tunnel into this overlook while we were there. So this is definitely an experience you're going to want to stop for, you're going to want to enjoy, and I think you will find that it really is overwhelming views. And there's excellent beauty here and excellent sights to see. Moving on beyond the West Tunnel, the next stop is going to be the Loop. Now, the Loop is one of the more popular parts of the park. It's basically just like this hairpin turn in the Going to the Sun Road as you're heading up towards Logans Pass. There's basically like a parking area inside this hairpin turn, okay, inside this switchback. And you can park there to look out over Heaven's Peak and some of the area around it. Just be warned, though, that this is a very popular place because it is also a trailhead for several popular trails. There's also a restroom stop here. So we actually went by this 3 times before we were able to find a parking place inside this parking lot. All right. And it was early in the morning when we finally found that. So there's a couple other overlooks and stuff there, a couple pull-off spots. So maybe you'll get lucky. There's, I would say, maybe 30 or 40 spots in this general area. But just realize that it does fill up fast. And if you park somewhere and walk down, because this is a switchback, it can be dangerous. There are some really nice views from here. If you're just in your car, you'll be able to see, again, Heaven's Peak and some of the other things. I've also heard from a lot of people, even though we didn't see it, that there was quite a bit of wildlife in this area that you're going to have the opportunity to see. But the reality is, I felt that unless you're going to go out on one of the trails, it wasn't as overwhelming as some of the other areas. And reality was, it was really, it was nice, but some of the other stop-offs were even nicer. However, like I said, the loop is the starting point to several trails. There's the loop trail, there's the Highline trail that you can get on here. And basically, you get on those and you can go even just a little bit out and see some excellent views. So if you're going to stop here, I would plan on getting out of your car and taking the opportunity to hike even a short distance so you can see some of these views better. If not, like the road is going to be in your way and a few other things. But the loop is an interesting kind of feature of the Going to the Sun Road because of the way it's constructed. Engineering, a lot of work had to go into building this part of the Going to the Sun Road and be able to put this beautiful hairpin turn into it. So at least that's one interesting part about the Going to the Sun Road and the loop. Now, the next thing that you're going to see going along that we stopped at was the Weeping Wall. Now, the Weeping Wall is part of the Going to the Sun Road, where basically when they built the road and cut into it, there was like a spring that flowed through this area, and a waterfall was kind of made when the road was constructed. So the water continued to flow and kind of creates this like little waterfall down onto the road. Now, I've seen videos and things of cars driving through it because it can flow down into the lane. I guess it's the westbound lane. But when we went by like all 3 times, there was not a lot of water flowing. And to be honest, it really looked just like, almost like a lot of springs that I've seen that just kind of just leach almost out into the rocks. There really wasn't too much of a real waterfall there. I guess if you went when the spring melt was happening and stuff, you would get a lot more flow, but we were there in September, so that's something you just need to be aware of. I really, to be honest, was a little underwhelmed by the Weeping Wall when we were there in September. The final place I'm going to talk about that we stopped at in this part of Glacier along the Going to the Sun Road is Logans Pass. Now, Logans Pass, I will say, is kind of the middle part, but it's also one of the, in my opinion, really one of the most overwhelming and awe-inspiring places in Glacier National Park. It is the highest elevation that you can get to in a vehicle at 6,646 feet above sea level. It is located on the Continental Divide, so be sure to stop and get a picture of you with a Continental Divide sign. That's, I think, one of the more iconic things to see at Glacier and to get your picture taken with. There you're going to see things like the Reynolds Mountain, Clements Mountain that tower over these beautiful fields of like wildflowers, the ground, just the beautiful trees and everything that are around here. And it's a great place to see wildlife. We saw mountain goats here and some bighorn sheep. People occasionally see grizzly bears. You're going to see some smaller animals if you go on some of the walks, like squirrels and other things. They also have a great exhibit that talks about how some of these animals live through like the winter, kind of their life cycles and things like that, so you can really get a better understanding of some of the animals that call this area home. Now, Logans Pass is also a great place to get on the Hidden Lake Trail, which is very short and easy to hit up. And you can go out and see this beautiful lake that is really located almost right beside the Logans Pass Visitor Center, but you can't see very well unless you take this hike. Now, unfortunately, both times that we were there, it was closed due to bear activity, so that's something you're going to have to keep in mind with, and it's a place that I hope to get back to be able to see. Now, a couple things about Logans Pass. Because it is one of the most iconic and awe-inspiring parts of Glacier National Park, it is also one of the most popular. And I will say it was packed when we were there the very first day. We got there, again, it was our halfway stop, so it was maybe just a little afternoon, around 1 o'clock, and we had to circle the parking lot several times before we could find a spot. The other two times we were there, it was busy, but not as bad because we were there early in the morning and then later in the evenings. The park says it's generally full between 8:30 and 4. I would say even later than 4 o'clock, it's going to be full. But don't be afraid of the parking lot as full signs. Just realize you may have to like circle it a couple times before you find somebody who's going to leave. But I definitely recommend visiting early or late in the day, and you can also tap into one of the shuttles to get there. Now, the other thing about Logans Pass, because it is very high up, winter comes earlier there. So the visitor center closes earlier than some of the rest of the park. We were there in the middle of September, and the water was already turned off. And from my understanding, it closed later in the month. So just realize that some of the areas may be open, but you need to plan accordingly if you want to get here before it closes for the winter. But it's definitely something that you need to see along the Going to the Sun Road and during your visit to Glacier, because you don't want to miss this iconic scene. We came, like I said, midday one time. The weather was beautiful. We hit some of the short hike trails around here, around there, got some great views. You can even grab some great views off of the parking lot. The next day we were there kind of early in the morning. It was foggy and misty, just the way the weather is. But even that was beautiful up against the mountains. And then when we left, we made a final stop there on the way back. And that's where we saw some of the best wildlife because it was later in the day. I guess they were out. And I'll say that it was beautiful. And, all three times we had all inspiring experiences that I will say I would love to be able to repeat later on in my life. So definitely you're going to want to stop here at Logans Pass. So I hope you enjoyed this review and discussion of the 3 stops on the western side of the Going to the Sun Road, which were Logans Pass, the West Tunnel, the Weeping Wall, and definitely check out some of the other videos about Glacier that I'm going to be talking about, both that I've already sent out and that are going to be coming out. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. Always love to hear comments with questions or other things about Glacier. And definitely, if you enjoyed this and want to learn more, hit the subscribe button so you can get the other videos as they come out. Again, hope you enjoyed and I hope you have a wonderful day.